Hi, I'm Joe Horn, and you're watching Pelican Sports TV.
With a combined staff of over 250 years of experience, the Bugman has the upper hand on bugs.
Call us today about pest control solutions for your home.
Call 923-BUGS.
And rest easy in a pest-free environment.
Follow the Bugman's plan.
You're on the same flight.
We'll be on the same plane regardless.
Yeah, what we should do. Work. Anything together? Do we know that?
Got it.
Thanks, Dave.
The big, brilliant, thin Samsung Infuse 4G. Only from the network of possibilities, AT&T.
Explore the charms of the North Shore and visit St. Tammany Parish. Whether you're looking for a cultural experience or an adventure, you'll find it here. Enjoy great attractions and fantastic dining in a relaxed and friendly atmosphere.
Come visit us and discover the history and heritage that is Louisiana's North Shore.
For more information, log on to louisiananorthshore.com/bb.
Hello, my name is Debbie. Welcome to Debbie's Bridal, a formal affair.
Come see the many great lines we carry in bridal, bridesmaids, mothers, flower girls, tuxes, and more. We also carry over 25 top designer lines in debutante gowns, Mardi Gras, pageant, and prom. Come meet me and my staff with over 30 years of bridal and pageant experience. Debbie's Bridal, a formal affair, Burnside and Gonzales, where service matters.
40 years, 4 decades, nearly half a century. That's how long the citizens of Greater Baton Rouge have chosen Richards Honda. A simple, sincere, and honest process.
Louisiana's oldest and most experienced Honda dealership for over 40 years, Richards Honda.
Hello everybody, this is Carter Bryant right here at LSU Football Fan Day, and I have one simple mission: find the best LSU game day face. I have Isaac with me, and Isaac today is the winner of the LSU Game Face competition. Isaac, what would you have to say about that? Do you like the Tigers? Are the Tigers your favorite team?
Yes, sir.
Okay, who's going to win it all this year? Is LSU going to win it all?
Yes, sir.
All right, I just need one good Go Tigers towards the camera, okay?
Okay. Go Tigers.
All right, we're here with Isaac. Isaac, congratulations on winning. Too bad I don't have a trophy for you, but hopefully I can put you on TV, okay?
Okay.
All right, there you go. Great time out here all the way around, from Coach Miles to Jordan Jefferson signing autographs today. I found the best game face here with Isaac. For Tigers Roar, I'm Carter Bryant.
Once again, good stuff by Carter Bryant. I mean, we've seen him play tennis. We've seen, well, let's say we've seen him try to play tennis. We've seen him try to track and field, hammer throw. We've seen him try softball. And now that might be his way. We had him. He had people eating tiger grass all over the campus last year. Old Carter Bryant's got it going, and that was a really cool little piece. I love seeing the little kids.
Yeah, I know. They were just mesmerized by Carter there. Just speechless.
He had that guy, man, a few words there, that youngster, huh?
Cute little Tiger fans. There's nothing quite like the little. This time of year, you see the little girls in the little cheerleader outfits and the little guys running around with their favorite little Tigers. It's great to see, and it just really kind of shows how important LSU football is to this community and to a lot of communities around the country, but certainly around here. I think there's no better indication of that than what we just saw.
One of the best things LSU did was move Fan Day inside a few years ago. It used to be in Tiger Stadium, and it was just people would melt out there. I mean, you know, good move by somebody over there.
It's really, I don't know, this climate change and everything, it made that a necessity. It's just awfully hot, particularly for young kids and older people that like to go. It was very difficult for them, I think, with this heat.
Here on Tigers Roar, we're glad to have a partnership and a great media friendship with TigerBait.com. Mike Scarborough and his entire staff do a great job, TigerBait.com. And right now, we're joined by Brian Lazar, one of the contributors to TigerBait.com. Brian, how you doing today?
Good, Tommy. How you doing?
We're doing pretty good. A little bit more than halfway through the month of August. Football certainly in the air. And what's the latest from today's football practice at LSU?
Well, we don't know a whole lot anymore, Tommy.
Well, I know he kicked the media out, but, you know, I know you still got your ways of getting information.
Well, you know, I think that they worked inside today. Scrimmage is scheduled for tomorrow afternoon. I would imagine this will be, you know, they have another scrimmage scheduled for next week, but I think this will be the last really, you know, good long scrimmage of preseason camp. You know, I think the biggest concern right now, you know, Les Miles shut down practice to the media because of, you know, there's a lot of injuries and he didn't want the information out. So I think there's probably some concern right now about some of these bumps and bruises. I don't know if anything is serious or not. I know the offensive line has been hit the hardest. I believe, you know, the guys that, you know, are going to be figuring playing, P.J. Lonigan and Alex Hurst are the only two that have not missed practice time. Everybody else who's going to play up there has missed practice time. So I don't know if there may be a little bit of a concern there with the health of the offensive line.
Brian, anything new developing on the Russell Shepard situation? I know we haven't heard the final chapter of that story yesterday with the housing compliance issue. We know he's still practicing, and as of Tuesday, Coach Miles was, you know, preparing as if they would have him for Oregon. That could change, and if it does, they'll make an adjustment necessary. But have you heard anything further?
No, I have not heard anything. The latest I heard is that they were just waiting to hear something back from the NCAA. Now, if something came, you know, late this afternoon, then that would be something different. So the only thing I heard, they were waiting on the NCAA to see whether or not he will be cleared to go for the Oregon game or whether or not he will be suspended for a game or two.
And to say the very least, the NCAA is pretty busy these days, from the West Coast to the East Coast and all points in between. Brian Lazar, tell everybody about TigerBait.com. What are the people going to get when they go to TigerBait.com?
Plenty of coverage right now. You look at the site right now. We have features on LSU football team. We have recruiting stories up. You can see interviews, video interviews of the players, as well as stories, and we'll be getting ready to start probably tomorrow a breakdown of each position area of the team. So www.tigerbait.com is a 7-day free trial at any time, and all the news about you know, LSU athletics. Also a couple stories up on the baseball program right now.
Brian Lazar, TigerBait.com. As always, we appreciate you joining us on Tigers Roar. Keep up the great work.
Okay, thanks, Tommy.
Thanks,
all right, Brian Lazar, TigerBait.com, Mike Scarborough, Will Weathers, some other folks that contribute to that. I know a lot of people that check that out on a pretty regular basis. When we come back, we're going to take our weekly run through the LSU athletic department, including some baseball stuff for you, the fall signing class, and a couple of baseball items for you. And then we got a little basketball, a little soccer, a little volleyball. We've got some women's golf, a few notes and stuff, and then, of course, we'll dive back into football with Chris Landry talking more about LSU and the fall camp preparations as September 3rd, the matchup in Arlington against the Oregon Ducks gets closer each and every time we talk. Chris Landry, NFL scout, Fox Sports football analyst. I am Tommy Krysan of Pelican Sports TV, and you're watching Tigers Roar. Stay with us.
With a combined staff of over 250 years of experience, the Bugman has the upper hand on bugs.
Call us today about pest control solutions for your home.
Call 923-BUGS.
And rest easy in a pest-free environment.
Follow the Bugman's plan.
When you need to hire, you need to know about Better Baton Rouge Jobs, Better Acadiana Jobs, and NewOrleansJobsList.com. We have a faster, more affordable way to find and hire employees. Now you can save even more with this special offer from Pelican Sports TV. Post your job listings on any of these sites and use promo code Pelican10 to save an additional 10%. Find qualified applicants and save money too with promo code Pelican10. And remember, we're free for job seekers and great for Louisiana business.
One of the key attributes that really puts Papa John's Pizza over the top is our meats. Nobody does what Papa John's does.
Introducing Papa John's new double-layered premium pepperoni pizza. Loaded with a layer of our signature pepperoni, plus a layer of oversized deli-style pepperoni. Just $10 for a large. Or get any large pizza with any toppings. Just $11. Order now at papajohns.com.
Better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's.
Pelican Sports TV presents Pelican Radio. Get ready to mix it up with me, Tommy Krysan, and Chris Landry, weekday afternoons from 3 to 4 p.m. Pro sports, college sports, high school sports, and much more. On the Score 1210 AM and on the internet at thescore1210.com.
For the thirsty, for those who hang out in packs, for heroes, for sidekicks, for those who see the glass half empty, for those who see it half full, for those on the right, for those on the left, for those with nicknames, for those with curves, for people that cycle, for people that recycle, for BFFs, for frenemies, for those with style, for lovers, for families, for big families, for everyone.
Follow the Bugman's plan.
Rest easy in a pest-free environment.
With mosquito misting systems, Centricon termite baiting, infrared camera inspections, and the Bugman's famous Pest Plus program, the Bugman has the upper hand on bugs. Call 923-BUGS.
We continue with Tigers Roar right here on Pelican Sports TV. We ask you to spread the roar Wednesday nights live from 8 to 10 p.m. Streaming on the internet. On the screen in the yellow belt, you see PelicanSportsTV.com. Anywhere in the world you can get it. And I was visiting today with, before the taping of the program, Chris, with Mike Shepard, who's part of the Louisiana Music Hall of Fame, which is a great friend of Pelican Broadcasting. And he said, what's Tigers Roar? Exactly what is it? I said, well, tell you, Mike, it's about 90% LSU football, and it's about 5% run through the LSU athletic department and other LSU athletic teams and players and performers and coaches. And then the other 5%, aside from the fact that it's Tigers Roar, we are on in the Lafayette and the New Orleans markets, so there are times when we mention the Raging Cajuns of Louisiana Lafayette and Coach Mark Hudspeth, Tulane and Coach Bob Toledo, Southeastern Nichols. We got viewers in that area too through WHNO TV in New Orleans on Fridays at 5 o'clock on HNO TV 20 in New Orleans. So we like to sprinkle that in there, a little bit of that in there. In fact, we had Coach Mark Hudspeth, the new head coach of the Raging Cajuns of Louisiana Lafayette, here on this program back here in the spring. Coach Tim Rebo, who works with the linebackers over there, a longtime high school and collegiate coach in many stops in Louisiana, brought Coach Hudspeth over here. And that's basically what Tigers Roar is. And we want you folks to spread the roar. Yes, it's predominantly LSU football and LSU sports, but we don't mind with our audiences in Lafayette and New Orleans and other parts of the state and the Mississippi Gulf Coast with sprinkling in some other things such as the ULL, Raging Cajuns, and the Tulane Green Wave have agreed to a home-and-home series in football. They have not met since the year 2000 when Tulane escaped with a 38-37 victory in the Superdome. In the 2012 season, the Green Wave will travel over to Cajun Field and play ULL over there, a return trip by ULL to Tulane in 2016. So, good to see those things. I've always maintained that these state schools should play each other a little bit more. I know ULL has also done a home-and-home with Louisiana Tech, the Bulldogs from up in Ruston in 2014 and 15, I want to say. It's only going to increase attendance and increase awareness and put a little excitement and a little fan barter back and forth. And so certainly we have no problem making mention of that. If you ever want to email us at pelicanbroadcasting@gmail.com, we appreciate all your input, and we get input from the New Orleans and Lafayette markets. And I know, Chris, in fact, tomorrow on your Chris Landry show, you're going to jump away from LSU on the radio, 2 o'clock, the Score 1210 AM in Baton Rouge, online at thescore1210.com. You're going to have a quick, brief overview of all the state programs, including ULL and Tulane.
Yeah, the show's kind of fast-paced, and we get into the season, and we'd love to talk a great deal about everybody, and it's tough to get everything in. So I wanted to spend a little bit of time and try to see if I could break down a little bit of every program. Tulane, ULL, ULM, them all, Southern, Grambling, Nichols, Southeastern, Tech, you name it. little bit of where the programs are, what to expect from this season, to get a feel for their team, their personnel. You know, ULL's got one of the best tight ends in the country in Ladarius Green. I want people to be aware of them, and I think that it's important to kind of get a feel for it. I'm with you. I love state schools playing one another. I think it's great, and a lot of political machinations that go and involved with this, but I love it. I firm believer that LSU, and this is from a coaching standpoint, I can tell you, that the first game every year ought to be against a Louisiana State school. I think it's easier from a coaching standpoint to get a first game under your belt against an opponent. It's great to open up against Oregon. It's great for us to talk about, but from a coaching standpoint, I think it would be very beneficial. And I do like the fact that if you can, and again, politics are involved and everybody wants you here, there, but if you could start and open up a season to play a team in state, I think that's good. I think it's good for the state, and I think you keep more money within the state. You don't have to pay as much money out because the travel is not as great, and I think you put more money into the state schools. So anyway, that's I'm off my soapbox on that, but I do like that, and I really wish we've got some teams that are good in the state, some teams that are rebuilding. We'll get into that tomorrow, but I'm excited for all of them, as I am for all the high school, the prep coaches and players. It's nothing like the beginning of football season where hope springs eternal. Everyone is excited about the start of the season. Everybody's got great goals and aspirations. So I think it's the best time of year.
And if I can jump on the soapbox for just a minute, yeah, I'd rather see LSU give the money to the Northwestern State Demons, as they'll do on September the 10th this year. Last year they played McNeese. We've seen some other schools come in here, as opposed to Towson State and Idaho. We'll leave it at that, okay? Keep the money here with those programs, and you know that check to the Northwestern State Demons up in Natchitoches, that'll represent a large part of their budget. That'll help them build their program and improve the resources of that program. Right now it's time for our weekly run through the LSU Athletic Department, and we're going to start off with baseball. Coach Paul Mainieri always waits to announce his signing class after the Major League Baseball deadline for signing drafted players, which was this past Monday night at midnight Eastern time, because you never know. And Coach Mainieri did not get any surprises on Monday. Everything went, as far as LSU was concerned, as he expected. And of course, Mikey Matuk did sign at the last minute. It was Mikey's family told a friend of mine that 30 minutes before the deadline he wasn't 100% sure what he was going to do yet. He took it to the wire and finally agreed for a little over $1 million bonus and some monies for some tuition as he chooses to finish his degree. So he will not return as expected, as he did sign with the Tampa Bay Rays. But Coach Mainieri had some comments sprinkly. He did it in the football room. That ought to tell you a little something about it. Right before Coach Miles did his daily briefing. Here are some comments from baseball coach Paul Mainieri talking about his signing class and what's next for the LSU baseball team.
This every year, but let me explain to you why we wait until today to announce our signing class. A lot of schools announce their signing class back in November, but we don't do that, and I don't do it for a couple of reasons. Number one, the signing class is not actually the class that's coming into school because of the way the Major League Baseball draft works, and we've become accustomed to that through the years. And so I really don't want to talk about a class until I really know what the legitimate group of kids are that's going to enroll at LSU. The second reason is because of the new, I say new, they were instituted in 2009, the rules that govern roster sizes and scholarship spots, not so much the 11.7 limit. That's been in effect for many, many years. But in 2009, you're only allowed to have 27 players receiving any scholarship aid. There's also an NCAA rule that says you can't talk about players until they are enrolling in class or if they've signed a national letter of intent. And so if we announce our signing class in November, I can't speak about non-scholarship players, and yet those players are very vital to our success because of these rules. In past years, those players may have gotten or received a minimal scholarship. They can't receive that anymore because of the rules, and I don't want to distinguish between scholarship or non-scholarship players on the baseball team because they're all very important players to us. So I hope that explains to you why we wait until now to even announce our class. I think Bill gave you all a roster, and Bill, did you include also a little bio on each player? So I know that all of you can kind of look at that at your leisure, but I'll just kind of go over a couple of highlights of this class, if you don't mind. Number one, we were able to hold on to 5 of 8 drafted players. Once again, it's a tremendous challenge, and we can wait and talk about it a little bit more when you ask questions. But the challenge is not to sign the best players in the country. I think we could do that at LSU with a great deal of regularity because of what we have to offer here. The challenge is to sign the very best players in the country that will come to school, because it really doesn't do you any good to sign a player if he doesn't enroll at LSU. We don't need to do that for any kind of status or anything like that. Every player that we sign, we believe, is going to attend school. 3 of the 8 players, Trevor Story, Johnny Ironman, and Jake Cave, decided to pursue their professional career out of high school and therefore will not be enrolling at LSU. The emphasis today will be on the 5 that are enrolling in school here. And we're very excited about those 5 players. 4 of the 5 are pitchers. I think pitchers that are going to make a serious impact on our team. R.B. Fields is a lone position player that is attending school. I think he's going to make a major impact on our team. But even the players that were not drafted, we feel very good about. We think that they're going to be some of the best players in our program as we go forward. The draft is not necessarily an indicator of who is going to become vital players in our program. We're excited about every single guy that's joining our program.
One interesting thing about the roster that they released, it included 40 players. And there's 3 guys that are on the football team who Coach Mainieri said he will visit with whenever football season concludes, including Spencer Ware, who did contribute some to baseball last year, Jared Foster from Barb High School in Lake Charles, and Terrence McGee, who we've mentioned earlier tonight from Franklinton High School. Terrence McGee met with Coach Mainieri the day before the football team reported. He loves the game of baseball. He's got talent and skill, and he wants to play baseball. Of course, that'll be determined when football season's over. So if you take the 40 plus the 3 possible football guys, once they get to February, they can only have 35 guys on the roster. So there's going to be some competition. Jacoby Jones is going to be moved to center field. He did very well at center field this summer. Rest of the positions are pretty wide open on that baseball team. And, of course, Jacoby Jones is going to have to prove himself in center field. The pitching with Eads and McCune and Gosman and the experience they got last year is expected to be good. But you know, tied for 9th in the SEC, no postseason. Nobody wants that again, including Coach Mainieri. You know, Alan Dunn, new coach. I asked Coach Mainieri, he said he's adjusting to LSU in college. It is different. You know, when you're coaching pitchers in the minor leagues, the key is to develop them. And winning isn't necessarily the most important thing in minor league baseball. It's development. Well, at LSU, you got to develop and win. So that's the challenge for Alan Dunn. But, you know, fall season, I'll get out there and watch some practices, and I'll get my reports and stay close to the baseball thing. But, you know, everybody's on football right now. We know that. But come the spring, all eyes will be on LSU baseball.
Well, you know, just the development stages, as you know, every sport in the off season is vitally important to when they start their season. What you do leading up to it's important. So what they're doing in fall, while it may go unnoticed by the majority of the public, I know you follow it and a few others do, it's very important. And you would hope that the arms that they had with the experience that those guys had last year with Coach Dunn, that can all turn in a very positive direction and hope that that 9th place finish is significantly better next year without question. And I think it's the toughest thing. I just can't even imagine having been a recruiter on the football end. I can't imagine having to recruit players that on the idea that if they're too good, they can't come here because they're likely to go somewhere. That's a tough thing to try to manipulate and figure out. So but it's something that just happens. Doesn't happen here, it happens everywhere. But as he said, you can get anybody to come here if they want to play college ball. But for the most part, the top ones prefer to go play pro ball. So that's a tough deal.
And there's so much money involved now.
Oh,
I mean, you know, 20 years ago, it was rare to see a 7-figure signing bonus. Now they throw them around like crazy. And that recruiting, and it's like a shell game. I mean, you're like, okay, what about this guy? Whoop, he's gone. You know, it's kind of crazy. But anyway, that's just a little update on you for baseball. Again, Coach Mainieri met with the media this week. Keeping our run through the LSU athletic department, they will unveil a statue of Shaquille O'Neal outside the new basketball practice facility, which is just north of the Pete Maravich Assembly Center. They're going to do that the week of the first home game. September 8th they'll do this. I know Shaquille O'Neal has a benefit golf tournament over at Carter Plantation on the 9th. We do have an interview lined up with him for Tigers Roar that we hope that materializes and we can capture that and put it on Tigers Roar the final week and have Shaquille with his first appearance on our program.
Is that a bronze deal? They're bronzing that?
It's causing a little controversy.
That's a lot of bronze.
That's a lot of bronze if you're going to go
life
Shaq.
Size,
I've seen a rendition of it. It's him dunking the ball and hanging on you've seen that picture at LSU. It's similar to that.
Birds are going to have to fly really high to get on top of that one.
And it's causing a little controversy, believe it or not. I mean, you know, statue of Shaq, no statue of Bob Pettit, no statue of Pete Maravich, maybe Rudy Macklin, and maybe those will come down the road. But nonetheless, that was a little announcement out of basketball. The Big Diesel, Shaq, who's going to become a TV guy like us. He wants to be like us, I think, joining the TNT network.
Oh, good luck with that. No, that'll be good. He and Barkley, that will be some very interesting conversations if they have basketball this year in the NBA.
And if not, they'll have them two to clown around about why they're not having basketball.
It's probably why they've got that going. That may be better than some of the early NBA games anyway.
Of course, Coach Brian Lee with the LSU soccer team, he's done a fine job with that program for many, many years, and they're going to have some free admission to home games, go free, a little promotional. The opener is Friday the 9th. Against Oregon. How do you like that? All at the LSU Soccer Stadium. Also, we'll have some information on the broadcast with Carter Bryant of these matches coming up. But just wanted to tease you a little bit. We'll also have a feature coming up very soon in the weeks to come about the soccer team. Again, Coach Brian Lee, who's a friend of Pelican Broadcasting and has done a very good job. The facilities have upgraded significantly out there with the soccer team, and Coach Lee is looking for a good year.
You know, they didn't have soccer, intramural soccer, but you didn't club soccer, but we didn't have soccer when I was in school, so it's great to see the relatively newness of that program and how quickly it's gotten. And Coach Lee's done a great job, as you mentioned. Facilities are good, and maybe get lost in the shadow in the fall, but certainly get a chance in some midweek action. What a great opportunity to get out there and enjoy some of the action there.
Well, and of course, speaking about doing a good job for a really long time, volleyball coach Fran Flory has been a mainstay and a long list of success and achievements by her as a volleyball coach. A couple of preseason All-SEC honors for sophomore Desiree Elliott, senior Michelle Williams. Coach Flory does an outstanding job with the volleyball program.
Yeah, you talk about a program that tends to get lost in the shuffle. That's, with their fall schedule. It's tough, obviously everything is football, but Fran does a good job, and certainly these young ladies do a good job, and obviously Elliott and Williams are two that much is expected of them, so we wish them well. In what is a very competitive SEC in the volleyball ranks, they're good programs.
And a women's golf note for you. Tessa Teachman's currently competing in China in the World University Games. Austin Ernst, the NCAA individual medalist champion, did very well in the U.S. Amateur. Did not make it to the final round, but advanced through several rounds. So Coach Karen Bonson's lady golfers making some noise around the globe.
Well, and, of course, golf, as you mentioned, baseball guys, you kind of alluded to it. Baseball, the players play a lot in the summer league. Golfers, tennis players, they do a lot a lot of work in preparation for their college seasons. And the golfers, certainly, the women and the men's sides have really worked hard this offseason, and obviously very good golf seasons for the women and the men, and much is expected of them this year, even though they lose a couple of key, Megan McChrystal for the girls and John Peterson of the guys, but there are a lot of good players coming back.
We remind you you're watching Tigers Roar right here on Pelican Sports TV. It's live on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. 2 primetime hours for you. Also streaming on the internet at PelicanSportsTV.com. If you're catching this Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, you got a rebroadcast going. We appreciate that. Hopefully you'll spread the roar in New Orleans on Friday evenings, 5 o'clock on WHNO TV Channel 20. That station reaches the North Shore, Hammond, Ponchatoula, Covington, Mandeville, Franklinton, Bogalusa, Pearl River, Lacombe, Slidell. It reaches Morgan City, not Morgan City, it reaches Thibodaux, Houma, Lafourche Parish, Terrebonne Parish, and reaches into the Mississippi Gulf Coast. We got other outlets that you can hear this. Send us an email at pelicanbroadcasting@gmail.com, and we can help you out if you're trying to find out what day and time a rebroadcast may be available in your area. We'll certainly get that information to you. Or find us on Facebook. You can keep up with us on Facebook by the Facebook page Pelican Broadcasting. So do find us there. Pelican Sports TV, known for the hunting, the fishing, the outdoors programming, and a great mixture of South Louisiana sports. A lot of stuff is there. Almost too much to mention here, but you can keep up with it on Facebook at Pelican Broadcasting. We have a YouTube page, which I know we're going to put the Carter Bryant little fan day clip on YouTube. Spread the roar about that. And you can follow us on Twitter. Our Twitter account's growing. We're getting more and more followers every day. We don't have a whole lot yet, but it's growing each day. At Pelican Sports is the Twitter account. With Chris Landry, NFL scout, Fox Sports football analyst, I'm Tommy Krysan of Pelican Sports TV. We're going to come back, dive into some more LSU football and other good stuff. And if you want to give us a call, we'll open the phone lines when we return with more of Tigers Roar, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, New Orleans on Pelican Sports TV. Stay with us.
40 years, 4 decades, nearly half a century. That's how long the citizens of Greater Baton Rouge have chosen Richards Honda. A simple, sincere, and honest process.
Louisiana's oldest and most experienced Honda dealership for over 40 years, Richards Honda.
Follow the Bugman's plan.
Rest easy in a pest-free environment.
With mosquito misting systems, Centricon termite baiting, infrared camera inspections, and the Bugman's famous Pest Plus program, the Bugman has the upper hand on bugs. Call 923-BUGS.
When you need to hire, you need to know about Better Baton Rouge Jobs, Better Acadiana Jobs, and NewOrleansJobsList.com. We have a faster, more affordable way to find and hire employees. Now you can save even more with this special offer from Pelican Sports TV. Post your job listings on any of these sites and use promo code Pelican10 to save an additional 10%. Find qualified applicants and save money too with promo code Pelican10. And remember, we're free for job seekers and great for Louisiana business.
Hello, my name is Debbie. Welcome to Debbie's Bridal, a formal affair.
Come see the many great lines we carry in bridal, bridesmaids, mothers, flower girls, tuxes, and more. We also carry over 25 top designer lines in debutante gowns, Mardi Gras, pageant, and prom. Come meet me and my staff with over 30 years of bridal and pageant experience. Debbie's Bridal, a formal affair, Burnside and Gonzales, where service matters.
Creel Tree Service is a licensed and insured tree service providing tree and stump removal, topping, trimming, cabling, pruning, and fertilizing. We have free stump removal with takedowns, free estimates, affordable rates, and senior citizens discounts. Call 774-TREE. That's 774-8733. Get your yard ready for the warmer weather. If it deals with a tree, call me, Creel Tree Service, 774-8733. That's 774-TREE.
Pelican Sports TV presents Pelican Radio. Get ready to mix it up with me, Tommy Krysan, and Chris Landry, weekday afternoons from 3 to 4 p.m. Pro sports, college sports, high school sports, and much more. On the Score 1210 AM and on the internet at thescore1210.com. We continue with Tigers Roar. We're going to open the phone lines for you. We did this during the course, in particular during the football season last year, and kind of got away from the phones in the spring and the summer as we bounced around to different topics. But our phone lines will be open for the remaining part of the show. If you have a question or a comment about anything with LSU that we've talked about, for Chris Landry or for me, Tommy Krysan. The Baton Rouge number is area code 225-248-0049. That number again, area code 225-248-0049. 0049. We also have a toll-free number for those of you outside of the Baton Rouge market. We'll pick up the nickel. Phone calls aren't a nickel anymore, but we'll pick it up toll-free at 888, toll-free 888-948-0049 would be the toll-free number. Chris, let's get into a little special teams. Of course, offense, defense, any coach will tell you special teams are critically important. A quick review, if you will, on the special teams for LSU. As you know it now, viewing the tape of practice, being at the scrimmage the other day, your analysis.
Well, let's look at the importance of special teams, and particularly as it was to the success record-wise for this LSU team last year. I mean, when you are struggling offensively and got a good defensive unit, special teams creating field position for you, just vitally important. You had a veteran kicker, you lose Josh Jasper. The reliability of a guy that's money is so important. Consistency in the punting game, so important. A lot of athletes on this LSU team. We've kind of alluded to that on the defense and offensive side. That translates to explosiveness in the return game and coverage ability in the coverage units. But, you know, certainly in Drew Allemond, they've got a guy that gets good hang time on his depth, a little bit of a helicopter ball when he gets his angle approach a little too flat. I think that if you look at it, they've got the ability to be very effective. Drew has got a lot of the qualities that Josh Jasper had, but doesn't have the experience doing it. So we'll see how that plays out. I think DJ Howard's a good punter. Brad Wing is the interesting guy. He's the Australian by way of Parkview Baptist, or Parkview Baptist by way of Australia, however you want to look at it. He has got an explosive leg. But his block zone has got to shorten up a little bit, because I think there's some danger there. And his drops have to be more consistent, because that's the ability to handle the football with your hands and your drop really determines the inconsistencies or consistencies with the punter position, because he's got a great leg, but they're working through some of those issues. He actually can punt left or right footed. He's that versatile in terms. So I think the coverage units are really good. George Crapel back at snapper. Jarrett Lee back is a very good holder. So I think they bring back a lot of key elements, but Thomas McGahee's never been he's not a special teams coach with the Giants. He was the assistant. I think certainly that's going to be a transition. Joe Robb was one of the best special teams coaches in the country.
All right, let's take some phone calls, Chris. We said we want to interact with the people and give everybody a chance to comment. Let's go to John in Plaquemine. John, good evening. You're on Tigers Roar. Go ahead, John. Listen to your phone.
Hey.
John, how are you this evening? What can we do for you?
Good. I had a question about Michael Eugene and Ronald Martin. What kind of players you think they would be at LSU?
Well, I think that Micah is a young guy that I think has a chance to maybe, he's a redshirt possibility. I think both of them are. I think both can play on special teams. Martin, I think, can as well. But when you look at the depth, and this is a good thing, I think both of them are a redshirt candidate, special teams guy, and going to, certainly not going to play on the receiver, show up on the receiver defensive back depth chart, because they've got so much depth there.
Let's go back to the phone line. Let's go to Terry in Houma. Terry, good evening. You're on Tigers Roar.
Hi, how are you doing tonight?
Good, Terry. How are you? Thanks for calling and listening.
Doing good, doing good. I was actually had a question about Kevin Minter. I wanted to know what you thought of his progress, because when Michael James went to the line.
Well, I think that Kevin Minter they'd like to ideally get Cornell Hatcher, and we talked about it in the game at Mike linebacker. He's the best athlete of the bunch. Kevin, I think, is a good player. Doesn't represent the type of range that they look for in that position, but I think he certainly has got enough reps that I think can be a factor. But Cornell Hatcher is, I think, the guy they're really working to get ready at that Mike position. But, Mentor's a good player. He's played behind Kelvin Shepherd, and I think certainly will be called upon to, particularly in their base package, to have on rundowns to have some success.
You can't have too much depth at any position. You go back through any championship team, any conference champion, any national champion, and you find depth. You find that second team, sometimes that third team guy that ends up in an NFL camp. We've seen that happen before, and you find that no coach will tell you he's got too much depth.
No, there's no
at
question,
any position.
No question. And in college ball, it's a lot different. In the NFL, to be able to accumulate that depth is always difficult because those guys are going to move on. Now, in college, they move on, they graduate. But, you know, as the old saying goes, when you're at a major program, you can recruit several first-rounders in every recruiting class. You can't do that in the NFL. I think if you don't have good depth at a program like LSU, you haven't done a good job of evaluating players in the recruiting process or developing players throughout your program. And I think they've done a really good job, particularly on the defensive side, of developing good young players. I do think that the linebacker position has the most, if you want to call it, questions, but it's all relative to how good the secondary is, how good the defensive line is. I think the defensive line has potential to be really good if Sam Montgomery can stay healthy, Michael Brockers can stay healthy. I think both of those guys can be elite players. The linebackers, a little bit of a work in progress. If you had to pick one of those areas where you had a little more questions, it would be that. But I think getting those guys from an assignment standpoint and an instinct standpoint is really, really important, because when you false step down at that in the box, that's where you really have some problems. So we'll see how it plays out. I think Chief John Chavis, who coaches the linebackers in addition to being the defensive coordinator, always done a good job with linebackers. And while I don't see a Kelvin Shepherd in this group from a leadership and instinct standpoint, they certainly have some good athletes. And if they can get aligned correctly, and some of that's going to fall on Eric Reed a little more from a getting adjusted in an alignment standpoint, I think that's going to be the key. You just don't want to give up the big plays. Big plays can hurt you, and I think that while this defense can create a lot of negative plays, one of the things in this type of scheme, when you're a little bit undersized and you're a fast flow team, you're more susceptible to big plays, so you want to minimize those. We saw that against Arkansas, but you know, how much time do opposing offenses have to generate those big plays are key. So I think it's an interesting unit, but that linebacker unit is one that's most intriguing.
Chris Landry, how much time, or should I better ask it, what percentage of time is given to special teams at practice here in mid-August?
Oh, a lot. I mean, you start practice and end practice with special teams, and you'll have a period in between practice where you're going to focus a lot on that, Tommy. It's really important from an assignment standpoint. You have a special teams coordinator, and Thomas McGahee is that for LSU, but every coach works on special teams and has a certain assignment on special teams. So it's very, very important. And obviously, we talk about being a third of the game. In terms of snaps, it's not an equal amount. It's not 33% of snaps. But the importance of it, if you think about how a good punt, a bad punt, a good coverage, bad coverage can invoke 20 to 30 yards of field position. If we talked about an offensive play positively or negatively that generated 20 yards of field position, we're talking about that being a big play. It happens more frequently in the kicking game than any. So while the amount of snaps doesn't represent a third of the game, in terms of importance, it absolutely does.
Let's go to the phone lines. A little phone call-in radio and TV shows 101 for you. Listen to your phone. If you're on the internet or you're a few seconds off. So a little teaching class here. Keep it in the phone, keep it going, and get to your point. Let's go to Brody in Abbeville. Brody, you're on Tigers Roar.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Brody.
Yeah, Chris, this is Brody. I'm calling.
Brody, go ahead. Don't listen to your TV. Go ahead.
Question, just getting your opinion on what y'all think LSU's defensive line is going to look like this year. I know their linebackers they're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the defensive line, I think, is a good unit. I think that certainly Kendrick Adams and LeVar Edwards, to me, look a little quicker. I thought LeVar is really in the early part of practice is doing a better job of getting off blocks. So we'll see. I think both of those guys are good players. I don't think they're elite. I think Sam Montgomery can be an elite player. I think he was the best pass rusher for LSU last year. I think he's got explosiveness. I think he's got first step quickness. I think he's developing some ability with hand usage and a counter move to become an elite pass rusher at end. I think that Michael Brockers is a potentially elite guy inside. I think more reps, the type of player he is not like a Drake Nevis, not like a Chad Lavallee, not like a Glenn Dorsey. So I think people are used to that. He's a bigger guy, a little more high cut, a little more focused at the point of attack, can get push up the middle, not necessarily split the gap and get good penetration. But the success off the edge is going to have a lot to do with his ability in the middle. So those two guys lead it. I think Josh Downs has ability. Another freshman we want to talk about, Anthony Freak Johnson. It's tougher to have an impact in the defensive line than it is in the secondary or receiver. But Anthony plays like a guy that looks like a sophomore that he's got a year in college under his belt. I expect him to be in the rotation as the fifth defensive tackle, but I think he could certainly move up the charts, and he's got a lot of ability, and he's going to be one of the next great ones at LSU.
Long-time basketball coach and icon Bobby Knight once said that the best thing ever happens to freshmen is they become sophomores. But as Coach Miles talked about with Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham Jr. and perhaps Lyle Collins, and you talking about Anthony Freak Johnson, sometimes freshmen don't look like freshmen.
Right, and I tell you, even a guy like that can help a little bit, Jeremiah Rasco, a guy we talked about in recruiting. He showed up well in the scrimmage and I think has some ability now. He doesn't have a real good feel for use of hands as a pass rush, but he's got good speed off the edge. I think the Benny Logans, the Eagle Fergusons inside, I think have some ability. We haven't even talked about Bartavius Mingo, who's got great speed off the edge. I like their depth. I think they've got some elite players, but I think they've got good depth there. I think the front end and the back end are about as good as you can hope for.
Let's go to the phone lines. Kobe in Baton Rouge, good evening. You're on Tigers Roar. Go ahead, Kobe. Okay, we lost Kobe. All right, we're going to have to do this again. Please bear with me. Those of you who want to call Tigers Roar, or any TV show for that matter, or call the Pelican Sports Radio or any radio show, listen to your phone. It's very important. Otherwise, we're going to say, here we go to Kobe in Baton Rouge, and you're listening to the TV. You're not going to hear that for 6, 7, 8 seconds. So, again, bear with me if you understand that process. For some of you new, and we got new viewers, and on Tigers Roar, we have new listeners of Pelican Sports Radio all the time. So just stick the phone in your ear and go with it like that. DVR Tigers Roar, catch the replay if you want to hear yourself. Not making fun of you, just pointing out that that's the way it's got to go.
Act like you're doing an interview over the phone. Just call and over the phone. Just listen to your phone.
Yeah, so anyway, that's how it will work here on Tigers Roar. Like I said, just about any TV show, or if you're calling Pelican Sports Radio, or calling any, Chris Landry and Brian Ali Walsh's show in the mornings in New Orleans on WIST Radio 690 AM. That's what, 6 to 8 o'clock?
6 to 8 o'clock, yes.
Brian Ali Walsh, boy, he's been a well-decorated and awarded writer. He's covered the Saints beat for as long as I can remember. There's not many things you can ask Brian Ali Walsh about the Saints and he wouldn't know the answer.
He did. He actually covered LSU when I was on the staff there, going back in the day, and of course that was quite a ways away, and then he moved on to cover the Saints and has been involved in covering them. Great guy and very well respected around the country.
And that's Monday through Fridays in the New Orleans market. WIST Radio, 690 AM, 104.9 FM, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. with Brian Ali Walsh and Chris Landry. All right, we'll try this again. Kobe in Baton Rouge, good evening. You're on Tigers Roar.
Hey, guys. Good evening. Sorry about the disconnection.
No problem. Go ahead.
Hey, listen, I want to tell you guys, first off, we appreciate the Tigers Roar and what it brings to the LSU fans here, especially in the Baton Rouge area and all over the country. Listen, Chris, I wanted to ask you something. Jefferson he's a big-time potential player. We've heard a lot about him in the past, of course. What have you noticed in practice to this point this season compared to last? Can he make that adjustment? I'm looking for him to have a big year. Can he make that adjustment in the thought process of the game as it cycles through, and definitely be that leader that the Tigers need him to be on offense?
Well, I think he's a couple of things that I've noticed a difference. I think that, first of all, he's always looked good in practice. I think he throws the ball well. I think his footwork's a little better. I definitely feel more of a comfort level with him, meaning he's got more of a comfort level in this offense. I think because they've streamlined it, I think with less personnel shifts in pre-snap, there'll be a lot of pre-snap movements, but I think giving him more time pre-snap to get into the right play if he's not happy with what he sees with the play call. That gives him that option a little bit more. I think that's created more of a comfort level. So that's changed. I think the key for him to have an appreciably better season is going to come down to how he's utilized. I think he's a guy that I would utilize a lot with half-field reads and a lot of half rolls. That gives him not only a condensed field to read through, but gives him some run-pass options. I think giving him some chances, more chances on early downs against a loaded front is going to give him some more chance for success, more big play opportunities. We saw that again in the Cotton Bowl. We saw it against Alabama, particularly in the second half, when they felt like they needed to. In terms of he's just this different guy, and he hasn't looked a lot different, quite frankly. But I think that the potential, maturity, maybe the change of how they're doing things philosophically, and I think the support, the backing of Coach Miles, and that's his guy. I think all of those things are positive in terms of an encouragement, a belief system that he has. So we'll see how it translates Saturdays in the fall. But I don't know that he'll have a big year, Tommy, but I think he could have an improved year. And I think this is going to be built around a running game. They're going to have some explosive plays in the passing game. But I think some of doing less things more effectively is kind of the mantra of what they want to do with the passing game this year.
Well, I was talking with an LSU football fan, a knowledgeable fan, the other night at a function I was at, and he made a pretty good analogy. He said, Jordan Jefferson has the keys to the car. He doesn't necessarily need to win the race, but just also don't wreck the car. Keep it between the lines. So, pretty good analogy by a pretty good LSU fan, the astute fan that I was speaking to. Final call of the night, CL in Baton Rouge. You're on Tigers Roar. Hello, CL.
Yeah, guys. I appreciate your show. I just moved back to Baton Rouge from Springfield, Oregon. I was born and raised here.
Oh, wow.
And Chip Kelly's got them Ducks fired up, and that offense is so fast. The Tigers going to be able to handle that.
Well, it's a great point, CL. Listen, I know Chip's whole offseason mantra, he's the offensive coordinator, is they want to quicken the pace of their offense. Now, yes, I said he wanted to quicken the pace of that offense. He wanted to reduce it by a second and a half, 2 seconds between snaps. That's the biggest adjustment. They're very athletic. They can spread you out and they can attack you. And the difficult part about defending an offense like this is that you can stop them for 8 out of 10 plays. It's the 2 that they break that they get you a little bit false aligned because of the rapidity of getting to the line so quickly. It generates enough big plays. So they maximize options. I kind of equate it to Paul Westhead, Loyola Marymount's basketball team. Their idea was to get a shot every 15 seconds. They'd take advantage of it. So at the end of the day, I think what LSU has done to prepare for that is they've worked with 3 huddles. One huddle goes, the next offensive huddle is ready to go. So the defense is having to adjust to a quick huddle, and since it's hard to simulate with one huddle, you have 3 offensive huddles that makes your defense adjust. You have to work on the fly, you have to limit your personnel groupings, and you have to really monitor the stamina level of your team and get fresh bodies in there, because you can have success early, you can have success in the second quarter, into the third, but you have to be careful you don't get gashed by getting a guy just misaligned or winded, because that's when they could take advantage of big plays. It's not like LSU's going to have to score some points here, Tommy, and if they don't, it's a close game. This is a team that is never out of the game because of their explosiveness offensively. So going to be quite a challenge for LSU.
Each and every Thursday in the Baton Rouge market on the Score 1210 AM and the Score1210.com from 2 until 3 p.m. It's the Chris Landry Show. Football, football, football with the guy that's been there and done that. Chris, give everybody a hint of what you'll have on tomorrow's edition of the Chris Landry Show.
Well, a little special day. We're going to spend a little time with all the colleges, not LSU, but every other college. looking at the state of their football program, how this season shapes up for them, what to expect. So don't miss that. We think you'll enjoy that. They don't get enough coverage. We'll try to get to it. Football 101, we're going to talk about the quarterback position, how to evaluate it as a fan, maybe get you to look at certain things and look at how to interpret stats and which stats are important as it relates to the quarterback position. We're going to do that, all the latest news from around the world of college football and the NFL, so that and a lot more from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock in the Baton Rouge area. And, of course, you can catch that replay on Fridays in New Orleans on 690 WIST at 6 p.m. Friday night.
And Monday through Friday from 3 to 4 p.m., Pelican Sports Radio with Chris Landry and yours truly. We'll mix it up with you every weekday afternoon from 3 to 4 p.m. Taking your calls. Ken Trahan of SportsNola.com will join us Thursday afternoon as he does each week. Lots of other good stuff for you on Pelican Sports Radio. And we remind you, Tigers Roar. It's live on Wednesday nights, 2 hours, 8 to 10 p.m. Please help spread the roar throughout South Louisiana, Mississippi Gulf Coast, your friends and family who can watch on the internet on Wednesday nights. It's all at PelicanSportsTV.com. And don't forget, immediately following all LSU football games, home or away, beginning with the LSU-Oregon matchup, it's the Phones First WJBO Pelican Sports TV post-game show, simulcast on WJBO 1150 AM, and of course right here on Pelican Sports TV. We're formatting that show out a little bit. We'll give you the lineup and the features that we'll have on that as when we get a little bit closer to that. That's going to be exciting. We did that last year, and we appreciate everybody listening on WJBO and watching on Pelican Sports TV. Again, we're doing it home and away. Phones first. Immediately after that game's over, within 5 minutes of the clock saying 0-0-0, you got Phones First and your chance to call in and begin talking about the game, good, bad, or ugly. We're taking your phone calls on the Phones First WJBO Pelican Sports TV post-game show. Don't forget, questions, comments, good, bad, ugly, it doesn't matter. It's all Pelican Broadcasting at gmail.com. You can send that email in. We'll get it to the necessary people, get your questions answered, and your comments passed along to the appropriate people. And don't forget, Chris Landry is also in that New Orleans market Monday through Fridays from 6 to 8 a.m. The morning drive show. Man, you're waking people up with you, huh?
Yeah, just getting myself up has been a chore, too. So.
Yeah, with Brian Alley Walsh, as we mentioned, and you, and having a good time on WIST Radio, 690 AM. 104.9 FM. I want to thank Dan Frazier down there and his staff doing a lot of stuff. And, you know, the Chris Landry Show in Baton Rouge and the Pelican Sports Radio Show, thanks to the good people at Clear Channel in Baton Rouge, available via podcast. You can go to thescore1210.com. Click the on-demand button, click Pelican Sports Radio, and get the different segments of Pelican Sports Radio and of the Chris Landry Show. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. We're here every Wednesday. Please help.
Hello, my name is Debbie. Welcome to Debbie's Bridal, a formal affair.
Come see the many great lines we carry in bridal, bridesmaids, mothers, flower girls, tuxes, and more. We also carry over 25 top designer lines in debutante gowns, Mardi Gras, pageant, and prom. Come meet me and my staff with over 30 years of bridal and pageant experience. Debbie's Bridal, a formal affair, Burnside and Gonzales, where service matters.
Our primary fundamental belief is that better ingredients, better pizza is quality, and that's what Papa John's is all about. Nobody does what Papa John's does.
Right now, get any large pizza with your choice of toppings, even our signature specialties, only $11. That's right. Order now at papajohns.com and get any large pizza with any toppings, just $11, only at papajohns.com.
Better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's.
You're on the same flight.
We'll be on the same plane.
Yeah,
Regardless.
what we should do. Work. Anything together? Doing that?
Got it.
Thanks, Dave.
The big, brilliant, thin Samsung Infuse 4G. Only from the network of possibilities, AT&T.